Curtis, you say this court date is extremely important to you. You're here to prove to your ex-fiancé, Mr. Buckley, that he fathered your 22-month-old son, Xavier, because his denial has left you homeless and in need of help.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Buckley, you say Ms. Curtis is a cheater, and today the test will prove you are not the father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Curtis, you say today's results mean everything. Explain.
Well, Your Honor, I grew up with a father. I know how important it is to have a father in your life. And Mr. Buckley says it's very important for our child to grow up with a father. And so, with him being in and out of our lives and kicking us out of his...
Take your time. I know it's difficult.
With him being in and out of our life and kicking us, not only me, but his son out of his apartment, we landed in a homeless shelter.
I did not.
And I was not known
Your Honor.
as Press Curtis. I was known as Resident 1625, sleeping in a twin-sized bed with my son.
That's not true.
Sharing,
I did not kick her out.
Sharing everything with other residents in the homeless shelter.
You say he kicked you out, Ms. Curtis?
He went to his landlord, and his landlord sent me an eviction notice. I had just had surgery.
Is that true, Mr. Buckley?
Yes, that is true, Your Honor, but I allowed her to live in my apartment at that time. I was being nice to her. She got mad at me because I was with someone else. I didn't want a relationship with her. She told me she was going to make my life a living hell while living in my apartment, and that's why I called my landlord. I was being nice to Mrs. Curtis.
At this point, did you believe her son, Xavier, was your biological child?
No, Your Honor. No, Your Honor.
Ms. Curtis, in your mind, while you're living with Mr. Buckley, did you think he had accepted that Xavier was his biological child?
Yes. He said he had a little doubt in his mind, but that when he looked at Xavier, that was his son. That was his child, that he loved our child. He gave him his last name.
Your Honor, I don't think I can have kids for multiple reasons.
It only takes one fast one. One.
So you don't believe you can have children?
No, Your Honor.
Why?
Your Honor, I was in a relationship before, and we tried to conceive a child. We went to fertility specialists, and we were on medicine and kept up with ovulation dates and the whole nine, and it didn't happen. As soon as we separated, she ended up having 2 other children, and that happened in not only that relationship, but with the following relationship that I was in. So you've never believed you could have children? No, Your Honor.
So what happens when Miss Curtis tells you, I'm pregnant?
Told her, congratulations. Whose is it?
No, you didn't.
That's pretty much what I said.
No, you said you told every other girl you were in a relationship with, congratulations, who's the father? But I was different. That you were willing to step up and be his father, which you haven't done.
I haven't done that because of you.
Because of me?
Yes.
It's just a drive away. You got a car. You can drive.
You were living in my apartment. I allowed you to live in my apartment. You
and
left
still
because
didn't come
I didn't want to be with you.
No, I didn't leave because I didn't want to be with you.
Yes. Every time I came over there, it was pure heck.
We lived together.
I allowed you to. You had your own apartments.
Yes. But every time I went home, you asked us to come back over.
Yes.
Because you wanted to spend time with your son, and I wasn't standing between that.
But you are now.
No, I'm not standing between that, but I'm not going to let you mess with my head. You can leave me out of the equation and see your son. That's your child. Don't play with me.
Your Honor, I have multiple reasons to have doubt about Xavier being my child.
This is not about your relationship. It really is about Xavier, this child, and his paternity. That's it. When she told you she was pregnant, did you believe that there maybe was a miracle and you did father this child?
Not at first, Your Honor, no.
What happened?
As the months continued to go along, I continued to get older, and I wanted a child. I accepted Xavier as my child, even though I don't think I can have kids.
Joey, I know when I conceived. I know who I was with when I conceived.
I know who you were with too, and it wasn't just me.
So staying at your house and spending Christmas with you? Who was I having sex with? Your brothers? Your uncle?
No.
What happened during the conception period? It was during the holidays?
Yes, it was Christmas.
She told me.
I was supposed to go home for Christmas, and I couldn't afford to go home. So he volunteered for me to spend Christmas with him and his family.
Your Honor, she also told me she had sex with someone while she was pregnant. So why?
While I was pregnant is different than when I conceived.
Before he was conceived, you were with other people.
No, I wasn't.
Yes,
I worked 8-9 hours a day, and then I went over to your apartment.
That means you got plenty of other hours left.
From leaving work at 4:30 and being at your house by 5, where do I have time between packing my clothes and getting a ride over there to have sex with somebody else? Because I'm not a 5-minute quickie.
So take me to the day you gave birth, Miss Curtis.
I was in labor for 13 and a half hours. Mr. Buckley was with me for the whole 13 and a half hours. I have pictures of him at the hospital.
I'd like to see those.
I ended up having to have an emergency
Thank you.
C-section because little Xavier's oxygen level dropped and he was in distress. And they took me in for an emergency C-section and my mom came with me. And when I woke up and they wheeled me by the nursery to see him, Mr. Buckley was standing there with tears running down his face. That was the moment that I fell in love with Mr. Buckley. He'd been standing there since he came into the nursery until I got rode to my room about 2:30. That's a couple hours, him standing there just looking at our beautiful son. Something that we made together, something that I never thought was possible.
Something that I don't think is possible, Your Honor.
But in this photo, it doesn't look like. I see tears in your eyes, Mr. Buckley. What do you feel when you look at that picture?
It's impossible to describe. There's no way to put it into words. I just don't, like I said, I don't think I can have kids. I've been there, I tried, and...
When you look at that picture, it doesn't look like you don't believe. It doesn't look like you aren't there. It looks like you're in the moment and you're looking at your new baby. What were you feeling in the moment?
My heart and my mind are at a constant battle. My heart wants him to be, but my mind knows better. What you see right there is my heart.
If your mind knew better, why did you sign the birth certificate?
Because of my heart's.
Why did you sign the acknowledgement of paternity? You want to talk about you have doubts that you couldn't have kids? I went through chemo and radiation. They told me all my eggs were fried, that I would never be a mother. But I'm a mother to a beautiful little boy.
Your Honor, Miss Curtis and I were not monogamous at the time.
You weren't. You can't say what I wasn't.
She is extremely promiscuous. My witness here can tell you a little bit about that later, but...
So you're saying, sir, in addition to your doubt as it relates to your own medical challenges and not believing and being told you would not be able to father children, you also believe that Miss Curtis was very promiscuous at the time?
Correct, Your Honor.
I'd like to hear from your witness. Please stand, ma'am.
Hello.
I'd like to hear from your witness. Please stand, ma'am.
Hello.
Hello. State your name for the court.
Anika Bunch.
Ms. Bunch, you are Mr. Buckley's
friend.
All right. And what information do you have concerning Xavier's paternity?
Your Honor, I have a lot of information. I actually brought a sketch with me.
I would like to see it. The exhibit here. Please step to it.
This right here, Your Honor, this is my house, my back door. And this is Mrs. Curtis' front door. And as you can see, I can see everything. We were friends. We've been friends. I told her, I see you. When we found out she was pregnant, she had a boyfriend. He passed away. They were together. And mind you, there were other men.
So what you're saying is from your back door.
That's not true, Your Honor. I lived at the top of a hill. She lived at the bottom.
This is my house, and this is hers.
And I lived on this end.
Her back door
on this end.
is right here.
There's a straight line of sight from her back door to her front door.
She knows, and she done came and confided in me and told me about the other guys.
What exactly could you see from your door to hers?
I could see men coming out of this door And her
How,
running
when I
up
don't
there,
even use that
And
door?
her running up to the Africans up at the other apartments up top.
The Africans I
They
was
were her-
teaching English to because he came from Africa and
That's a
didn't
lie.
speak English.
That is a lie.
He didn't speak
He spoke English to me.
Thank you so much for your testimony, ma'am. So, Ms. Curtis, you are denying Ms. Bunch's accusations. Is that true?
Yes, Your Honor. There was other men coming in and out of my house, but I wasn't sleeping with those other men.
And there was no old boyfriend that was still lingering around?
We had stopped messing around before I even met Mr. Buckley.
That's
And he
not true,
passed
Your
away.
Honor. That's not true, Your Honor. I was told stories about her being with him while we were together. She would go back to her apartments and mess around. But at the time Xavier was conceived, we were not in a relationship.
Were you in a relationship at the time Xavier was conceived, Ms. Curtis?
No, Your Honor.
You
I
weren't?
was not. Me and Mr. Buckley were just hanging out and kicking it and having sex.
Casual sex.
So you're on the birth certificate, Mr. Buckley.
And I have proof of that, too.
I'd like to see that. Are you currently paying child support?
I'm on
No, he
child
quit his
support,
job so he
Honor.
wouldn't have to.
I'm working right now. I'm missing out on
Just
work right
started.
now. I just started back.
All right, so here on the birth certificate, father's name, Xavier Buckley.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's you.
Correct.
You signed it voluntarily.
Yes, Your Honor.
And is there a child support order?
Yes, Your Honor.
There is.
Yes.
How much per week are you obligated to pay?
I'm not exactly sure.
He was supposed to pay $216 a month, and then when he quit his job, they dropped it down to $80 a month. I do everything on my own.
Are you current on your child support, sir?
No, he's
Your Honor.
$3,000 behind.
Your Honor, I just got my first child support statement in the mail, so it's not like I've been neglecting it. And like I said, she was living in my apartment.
No, because you got child support papers when I was living there.
You checked the mail. I wasn't there.
You were there because you asked me to call and have you taken off child support because you were willing to be with me.
No, because
Because
you were
we were
living in
living
my
together.
apartments. I wasn't living there.
Exactly. So why would I take you off child support and
Because
you
you
ain't
were
doing
living
nothing?
in my apartments.
And you still not providing for your child.
Mr. Buckley, if you said you had doubts, you say it's your heart that drove you to sign the birth certificate, even though your mind had doubts. Did you understand that because you signed that birth certificate, you would be legally obligated to provide support for this child?
Yes, Your Honor. My family made me well aware of that, and my entire family begged me not to sign it. Like I said, I did it out of my heart.
Because even today, if the results prove that you are not Xavier's biological father, you are still deemed to be his legal father. There is no guarantee that the court in your home state will remove you from that birth certificate or relieve you of that legal obligation. Do you understand?
I do now, Your Honor.
That's an obligation that extends minimally 18 years.
I could care less if my son grew up with this man in his life. I've been doing this by myself for almost 2 years.
That's why I allowed her to move into my apartment against my landlord's wishes.
And then made it so unbearably uncomfortable.
I was never there.
You come in on nights after being out kicking it, want to sleep in the bed with us.
I would sleep on the couch. You would get mad at me because I would try and sleep on the couch.
No, you would come and crawl in bed.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
It is obvious you all have so many unresolved issues. I don't even know, are you broken up? It sounds like you're still together.
No, we're not
No,
together.
Your Honor.
You act like it.
This is about Xavier.
Well, that's why we're here. This court exists because we want to protect Xavier. We want him to know who his biological father is, and we want to figure out how we can help you all move forward. I have the results for you. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Curtis versus Buckley, when it comes to 22-month-old Xavier Buckley, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Buckley, you are not his father.
Oh, baby.
I'm very sorry. Miss Curtis,
I wasn't with anybody else.
Obviously, you were with someone else.
Jesus, Lord.
Xavier was born 40 weeks after conception. December 24th to September 24th is 40 weeks.
I need you to stop this right now, babe. He's not the father. I don't know what you're wrestling with, sweetheart, but you are a ball of nerves, anger. You just wound up.
Your Honor, I'm still willing to be in Xavier's life. The way he looks at me, the way he runs up to me. Now all the drama and extracurricular stuff can be cut short. I'm still willing to be in his life.
If Mr. Buckley is going to be in Xavier's life, that means you two are going to have to be in communication. And we're rooting for you all because we're rooting for Xavier. I wish you all the very best of luck. Court is adjourned.